Everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode number 470. Today is the 15th of November, 2023. We got some really good questions today. A couple of announcements. And first, we're going to say hello to the guys before we jump into that real quick. Just wanted to say, if you're joining us for the first time or if you're watching the replay on YouTube, first of all, thanks for watching. Second of all, make sure you click subscribe, stay up to date. We post these videos as well as we chop up the individual questions into helpful little bite-sized videos. And you can always ask questions ahead of time because we realize not everybody can make it to Hump Day Hangouts. You can go to semanticmastery.com/HD questions and ask your questions ahead of time, and then come check it out. When you get the subscriber notification that there's a new video, go check out your video, see what we had to say. All right, so Chris, how you doing today?
Pretty good. Lots of work as usual. Couple more weeks till basically Christmas is here.
Yeah.
So gotta make the most out of it as usual. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Yeah, got out for a little bit of a run today. The weather was weirdly nice here. It's almost 60 degrees. Yeah, it's crazy. So make the most of it, I guess, while you
That's
can.
good.
Yeah. Bradley, how about you? Are you there? How you doing?
I am. I don't know how well the internet's not been too bad today, so I'll leave my video on for a moment anyway.
All right.
No, things are good. You're right. It's super nice. It's like 67 degrees outside right now, which is very rare for this time of year. And it sucks because I have not been able to enjoy it at all. I've been sitting on this fucking couch all day doing work from my laptop, but that's all right. Hopefully if we get out of here at normal time or even a little bit early today on Hump Day Hangouts, I can go out and enjoy at least 20, 30 minutes of sunlight before it's set. So looking forward to it.
Nice. Well, just a couple of quick announcements for everybody. First one, a little bit of a teaser. Just make sure you're paying attention. If you are on the Semantic Mastery email list or you're in the Facebook group, we got some fun stuff coming up for the Black Friday timeframe. You'll definitely want to be in the group or be on the email list. So if you're not on either of those, just go to semanticmastery.com, hop on the email list. You'll definitely want to be there. We're going to get you access to some good stuff. And
Are we
go ahead.
are we not revealing the fact that we do things very differently, or is that okay to reveal?
Yes. Yes. No, go for it.
Well, because everybody's so used to Black Friday just being a crazy bunch of sales, and like everybody saves money and gets ready to spend a shit ton of money on Black Friday. And this will be, I think, the third year in a row, if not the fourth. I think it's either the third or the fourth year that we're going to buck the system and just give only available from Black Friday, Cyber Monday. But we're not going to charge for anything. We're just going to give stuff away. So while everybody else is out and doing the feeding frenzy of the Black Friday, we're just going to give out value. So,
like Bradley said, also, Bradley, you may want to go ahead and kill your video. Your audio's starting to cut a little bit.
Okay.
There we go.
Enough.
Cool. Well, yeah, like Bradley said, make sure you're paying attention. Going to have some good stuff there. It'll be fun and really valuable. So we'll be passing that information along. Like Bradley said, only available between Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And then last but not least, and Bradley may have some follow-up notes on this, but if you're looking to grow your local SEO agency or you're doing it freelance and you want to take this up to the next level, you should check out the mastermind. You can find out more about it at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. That's where we are at. That is where other local SEO agency owners are at, freelancers, business owners. Definitely a place where if you want to take your local SEO up a notch, that is the place to be, and not just tips and hacks and strategies, but actually how to run the business, how to grow your agency, and get things running at the level you want them to be. Cool. So that is it on my end, guys. Anything else we need to talk about before we jump into questions?
No, not at the moment. Except interestingly enough, I've been doing a lot of audits again lately, or still, I should say, not again, but still. And it's crazy, but there's a lot of opportunity in local. I've seen a lot of stuff that is ranking right now that has very little competition as far as backlinks and everything else. And I just think there's a lot of opportunity right now, especially if you can learn how to optimize the more efficient way in today's search environment, which is what I've been teaching about in a mastermind now for an entire year. I've been talking about this, and it's crazy because it does make it so much easier to optimize for local stuff when you can understand how to optimize for topics and categories as opposed to keywords. And you can still do keyword optimization for like supporting pages and things like that. it's so more efficient, requires less pages, less content, less work, less backlinks, all of that. And it's just a really efficient way to build right now. And I'm so grateful that I've discovered how to do it, because doing all the kind of stuff that we've done in SEO for many years, which was necessary, but not necessary anymore. And that is to just create so much bloated content on the site and just trying to hammer Google over the head with the same freaking words over and over and over again. And it's not necessary to do that anymore. So it's just made it a little bit, not a little bit, a lot of it easier to optimize in my opinion. And I'm seeing some really good results just from some of the projects of opportunity in local right now, especially kind of with and this was not intentional, but as it the DHA program, a lot of that, so that's the directory hybrid agency stuff that we'll be launching in, I believe, January now. A lot of that has to do with developing a niche specific agency, and in developing lead gen assets as a way to start to generate new client work. Like, in other words, you use lead gen assets in find areas that you can rank stuff fairly quickly in with little work. And you use that as kind of a foot in the door strategy to start a conversation with your ideal prospect in that chosen industry. And the thing is like with what I'm seeing with doing a lot of these local audits lately, I found several different industries that just have damn near zero competition, or it's very, very little competition. Those are absolute gold mines for this type of an agency, where you go in and you pick a particular industry, you find low competition areas, you rank stuff organically very quickly with very little work. And then you use that as a conversation starter, and the directory too. It's a combination of using both. It's what's called the directory hybrid agency. Use a combination of the directory plus the lead gen assets that you've ranked in their area to initiate a conversation, and then monetize that contact any which way you can. You can monetize it through selling leads, or pay per lead, or rank and rent, or retainer-based models, one-off services. It doesn't matter. The point is to initiate a conversation with the chosen prospect and then sell them something. Like, get money from them. Like, that's the point. And there's just a lot of opportunity, I think, in local right now, and a lot of various industries that I found just through doing audits. I'm not going to reveal them here, but there's some really good opportunities available. So anyway, with that said, let me go ahead and grab the screen, and we'll jump into questions. We're staring at, maybe it was just me looking at Adam, looking at the computer. All right, guys, I'm a little bit too far zoomed in on this one. Let me zoom out a little bit. I finally ordered another laptop since Dell screwed me. I just ordered it yesterday, so it'll be there next week when I go back to Northern Virginia. So I'm looking forward to having a better laptop, a bigger one anyway.
They don't do deliveries out there?
Well, they do, but I'm leaving Tuesday to go back to Northern Virginia for the Thanksgiving holiday, so I just had it shipped up there. I'll pick it up there. All right, guys, let's jump into this. These are the questions. Starting with Eric B. He says, "What do you find is moving the needle with CTR and engagement signals lately in Maps algorithm? Any properties you recommend running traffic through?" Okay, so for what I'm seeing the most of with CTR right now is that, like, bot traffic is not working nearly as good as it used to. In fact, I'm seeing almost no effect from CTR if it's bot traffic. I'm still using like SERP Empire for most of my client stuff and everything, because it's easy to connect, and it's just another signal, but it's not, from my experience lately, is that Google's getting a lot better at determining whether it's valid traffic or spoofed or spammed traffic, or bot traffic, essentially, is what I'm saying. So again, I don't do a lot of heavy CTR testing. I haven't now for probably a year or so, because I kind of got to a point last year where I had kind of bot traffic was still working a lot better last year, but I had kind of got to the point where I was just setting up referral traffic campaigns to kind of power up tier 1 links for like some of the sites and stuff that we build for Semantic links, and the tier 1 links and all of that. But I started seeing a declining effect from sending referral traffic too, unless it was coming from a Google property. Like, in other words, it was a click from a Google owned asset or property to another property. Then I was seeing kind of more of an effect, a still good effect from referral based traffic from that. Now that might also still be the case for social media referral traffic and stuff too, because that is usually a bit more validated than just direct visits or link clicks type stuff. Hopefully you understand what I mean. Social media profiles like Twitter or X or whatever, Facebook, LinkedIn, even YouTube now, right? It's hard to create new profiles, new accounts. You have to go through a verification process. So referral traffic from social media profiles should be weighted heavier because it's more verified traffic, right? It's more validated. The traffic is more validated. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. When I talk about that, traffic is a validator, but there's also validated traffic, right? Validated traffic from Google is when you're buying traffic from Google, right? So like if you're buying traffic from Google ads, whether it's display network, Facebook ad, or excuse me, YouTube ads, or Google ads for video, or search ads or whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is you're literally buying clicks from Google users, and Google is serving you those users. So that's validated traffic. If Google knows that somebody is searching from a mobile device, right? They're logged in to their Google profile and they go to Google, then that click is weighted heavier than some random bot click. So social media traffic should be weighted heavier too. I've not done any significant testing with it in about a year, but my assumption would be, and again, this is only an assumption because I have not been testing, is that traffic from main social media properties or profiles too would also be more validated type of traffic signals than just some random bot clicks. So sending clicks through like YouTube videos, Google Business assets or posts, Google Business website, G sites, even some Google Docs or Drive files, so Docs, Sheets, etc. All of that stuff is more validation. In other words, the traffic is more validated because it's coming from Google properties or through Google properties, so it tends to be a bit weighted or heavier weighted, which is what my experience has been with. If I run CTR campaigns using Google Ads, I can't control what happens once the click is made, but I can control that the click is coming from Google users. That's validated traffic. And that tends to move the needle a lot faster than CTR bot traffic does. And that's part of the reason, like what we've done with Local Fury is, we've been trying to build profiles that are, as real as we can make them. Actual Google profiles that, have waking hours and sleeping hours and have tendencies and habits and things that tend to mimic real people, real human behavior. It's difficult to do. It's very, very difficult to do. But that's precisely the point is like, those types of traffic signals from profiles that have a lot more validation signals to Google. Those clicks are weighted heavier than like some random bot click. And that's kind of what I'm saying. So any properties you recommend running traffic through? Yeah, any Google properties. Like I said, main social media profiles. Properties also are good. Although, like I said, I've not done a lot of testing with that. It's logical to think that they're more validated signals than just normal like link clicks from random bots and things like that. Hopefully that's clear. Currently running some tests again with referral traffic to GBPs through socials with brand search and clicks as well. Any pointers are greatly appreciated. Yeah, and that's it. And again, guys, I'm not the CTR nerd. It's been about a year since I've done any significant testing with that. Mike Merlino is probably the best person in the industry right now to talk to about that. So I know he's got some training and things like that, and his training would probably be the most current because I know he does a lot of aggressive CTR tests using all different types of apps and services and such. So I would encourage you to perhaps check with him. Okay. Bradley, I'd like to get a DM from David says, Bradley, I'd like to get a DM from you of those 5 potential industries. Lips are sealed receiver. David, just ping me and social or somewhere, Facebook or something like that to remind me, and I'll happy to share it with you. I've got a few industries that look quite promising I could share with you. I'm not going to try any others. I'm married to the tree service industry, so I'm not going outside of that, but I found some really good ones recently. Danny says, hey, Bradley, our Local Fury, or I'm sorry, David, I found some that have a lot of potential. I don't know if they're really good until somebody gets in there and tests with them. But from the data, it looks like there's a lot of potential. Danny says, hey, Bradley, are local Fury and semantic links alone enough to dominate the 3-pack or maps? What else would you deem essential? No. Here's the thing, guys. You can throw all the links in the world at a project, but if it's got poor optimization, if the entity isn't established, well established, if the on page is poor, then all the links in the world aren't going to help. Or links aren't magic bullets. You have to have sound SEO, for the on page, and everything else should be sound. The entity should be well established. All of those things. Same thing with engagement signals. I think some people think engagement signals are the magic bullet. Some people think links are the magic bullet. Some people think links and engagement signals are the magic bullet. It's not. It's part of an overall strategy, right? You have to have all of your ducks in a row in order for you to get results. So in other words, don't start building links until your on page is sound. And really, first establish, if it's a local project, Danny, establish the local entity first. You want to try to verify and validate, right? And then try to build some authority to the local entity. That's always step number one. That's why in my audits, it's always the first part is entity analysis. Then next is on-page optimization for the self-hosted website. That could be interchanged with on-page optimization for the Google Business Profile, because part of entity establishment, right, is verifying a Google Business Profile. So you could swap the order of on-page analysis for either the money site or for the Google Business Profile. It doesn't really matter. The point that I'm trying to make here is I always, in my audits, there's 4 parts. The first part is entity analysis, because if the entity has problems, all other SEOs efforts are going to be more difficult. If the entity is well established, all other SEO becomes easier. Hopefully you understand that. So that's why I always start with that as number one. Doing entity analysis, researching to determine. And how do you do that? An easy way is just go do a brand search. What happens when you do a brand? You might have to geolocate your browser first. If it's a local project, go in, use like Bright Local Search Checker or something like that. Valentine or Valentin.app, something like that, where you can set the geolocation of your browser. And then you go in and just do a brand search. Boom. What happens? Does it pop a knowledge panel? If so, that's a good sign that the entity is well established. If it doesn't pop a knowledge panel, that means you need there's work to be done. Another one of the next points in my audit is part of the entity analysis is, out of the top 20 results, how many of them are branded or supporting assets for that brand when you do a brand search? If you don't own the first 2 pages, or at least 80% or greater, so 16 or more of the top 2 pages, the top 20 results, then it means you have some work to do for your local entity, the brand first, right? And there's things that you can do to help that. So anyway, I'm just to kind of get back to what I was saying, what your question was, is that entity analysis is always step number 1, in my opinion. Number 2 is the on-page analysis, both for the money site and for the Google Business Profile, if it's a local project. Having sound structure and also optimization is important. Because again, if your site is poorly optimized or has poor structure, then it's not going to perform well, no matter how many links you throw at it, no matter how many engagement signals you throw at it. So it's not, again, if your question is assuming that the entity is well established and all on-page factors are done properly, is local Fury and semantic links enough to dominate the local 3-pack? Well, yeah, but then that's not really just, is it local Fury and semantic links, right? That's doing all of those things, which again, there's 4 parts, right? There's entity, on page in 2 parts, on page for the Google Business Profile, on page for the self-hosted site. Then there's off page, which includes backlinks and signals, engagement signals. So that's how I look at all 4 parts of, like, when optimizing for a local project, is those are kind of the 4 components. Again, entity analysis, number 1, number 2, which can be 2. So number 2 and 3 are on-page analysis and optimization. And number 4, the part 4 is always off-page, which includes backlinks and engagement signals. So all of those things combined, I think that's what it takes. That's the thing I started to say earlier, is that it's amazing how many times people come in and they submit stuff that really needs a lot of work, and then they want to complain that they're not getting the results. And that's why for semantic links for subscriber clients, I tend to make sure that I analyze their project. If we happen to notice that they're not moving, the rank reports are not providing or showing the type of movement that we typically see, then my project, or excuse me, my executive assistant, Hazel, she's the one that prepares the monthly report. So she sees that there's a trend or something's not moving, or something is not moving at the speed or that, we typically see, then she'll bring it to my attention. And then I will go in and take a look at the on page and the entity, et cetera, and try to determine, is there something else that can be done? What is the reason that this project is not responding to the links like most projects do? There are projects we typically see, the movement that we see. So I usually will go in and analyze, and then I will provide recommendations like, hey, listen, in order to get better results, I recommend you do this or do that. Most of what I see is over optimization right now. Cannibalization was a big problem for a while. I'm not seeing as much cannibalization, but I'm seeing a lot of over optimization still. I'm still seeing keywords and URLs that are both in the domain and in the page slug. Then over optimized keywords stuffing in the SEO titles, the same keywords duplicated in the meta description and the H1s as well. So it's just way over optimization. We don't have to hammer Google over the head with that stuff anymore, guys. The language models understand language better than we do. So we don't need to hammer them over the head anymore. So that's what we used to do, but we don't need to do that anymore. So I just bring that up because it's interesting. I still see a lot of projects that come through, and like I've said this before, guys, same thing with client work. Like, if you promise your client a result for whatever it is that you sell them, and part of the effectiveness of the product or service that you sold them and the result that they're going to receive from using that product or service, if part of that is their responsibility and they don't hold up their end of the bargain, you are still going to be blamed for the lack of their results. And that's the same thing that occurs with, as a coach teaching SEO methods and strategies, or as a white label provider, and when I provide, link building services, etc. If, I can teach until I'm blue in the face, but if the student does not apply anything that they consumed, as far as the education that they consumed, then again, if they're not getting results, a lot of the times they're still going to blame us. And that happens here at Semantic Mastery all the time. Well, your stuff doesn't work. And then I go audit their property and they didn't do but 25% of the stuff that they were taught, right? Whose fault is that? Is that Semantic Mastery's fault because our methods don't work? Or is that the students or the members' fault for not applying everything because they wanted to take shortcuts or they were lazy or whatever? It's the same thing with white label services, right? If I can have really good links and good customer service, good support, good communication, all of that. But if you've got a property that is optimized poorly and you don't follow the recommendations that I will provide that are going to help you to get better results from the links that I'm going to send, then, and your site does not respond to the links because you didn't do the work, whose fault is it? Well, in reality, it's your fault, right? And I'm not talking to you specifically, Danny. It's the proverbial you. But that person's 9 times out of 10, they're going to blame the white label service. It's the link's fault. It's the link's fault that their project isn't moving, not the fact that they have a shit site that isn't optimized properly and they won't listen to recommendations because they know it all, right? So it's the same thing that I'm saying, like when it comes to SEO, like in general, guys, you have to kind of dot all your I's and cross all your T's, or because it's hard to brute force any one component in SEO and still get a result now. I'm not saying it's impossible, guys. Certainly, there is nothing absolute in SEO. Nothing is absolute in SEO. But, it's hard to brute force any one method or component and get of SEO and rank. Now, it's better if you have more of a holistic approach where you're optimizing the entire project and all of its components. And that includes, entity, on page, off page, engagement signals, backlinks, all of that. Hopefully that's clear. Anyway. Okay, moving on. Lewis says, hi, Bradley. Is there anything else I should put in the schema besides NAP? Thanks. It depends on what you're trying to mark up, Lewis. Yeah, schema can be very, very thorough, and I'm not the schema nerd. There are a few other people I could recommend for that. I do kind of really basic schema for local stuff, and that's all I found that is really all necessary for most of the projects that I work on. And that is, I do local business schema with the most appropriate subtype on the location landing page. You can also have organization or corporation schema which can be added to either the homepage or it can be added, from what I understand, globally or site-wide. I prefer to use corporation schema over organization schema. Corporation schema is a subtype of organization schema, but it is for for-profit businesses, as opposed to organization schema is more for, don't get me wrong, it can be appropriate for a for-profit business as well. But in my mind, it seems like a organization schema would be more appropriate for like nonprofits and associations and things like that, whereas corporation schema would be more appropriate for LLCs and, you know, local businesses, etc. So I usually use a corporation schema on the homepage, and again, that can go site wide. That, from what I understand, that's acceptable to be added globally on every page, essentially. But local business schema and the most appropriate subtype should only be applied to the location landing page. Full stop, right? And that's the landing page tied to the Google Business Profile. And then on all other pages, what I do for local is either web page or service schema. And to be honest, I use inlinks mainly for, now I disable, for the location landing pages, I still do manual schema, where I will create that schema manually and then add that to the page. But for all other pages on the site, I just use the inlinks JavaScript code, and then I manage the the schema, which is web page schema, on the other pages. And that's what I use because it's efficient. It's easy to manage, it's efficient. And you know, I manage a lot of properties now, a lot of locations. So for me, it's just an efficiency thing to just use inlinks. But for all the location landing pages, I still do that manually. Hopefully that makes sense. And I just do, and like I said, I do local business schema, but you can get very, very elaborate with that too, right? Because there's same as attributes, there's knows about, area served, has map. There's like so many different things, the elements that you can add in that markup. So to get back to your question, Lewis, there is so much. You can go down a really deep rabbit hole with schema, and I'm not the guy to take you down that rabbit hole. So I would encourage you to go check out Clint Butler's stuff, because he's got rank.gear, I believe, or rankgear.com. Maybe that's it. Sorry. Rankgear is the name of it. It should be rankgear.com. And he also teaches kind of advanced schema stuff. Terry Samuels, I believe, also teaches advanced schema stuff. My former kind of partner's partner, Rob Beal, he has Schema Tech, which is a software and also done for you schema service. So you might want to look at Rob Beal's Schema Tech and see, I know, again, he's got a lot of schema training and also software and done for you schema services. So you can check out all that kind of stuff. Hopefully that's clear. By the way, if you just want to learn more about some schema stuff too, though, you could always just go like, I use Schema app for developing schema manually. Just because I've been using them for so many years now, and I've got so many projects associated with it, it would just be a nightmare to try to disentangle from Schema app. But the Schema app blog has a lot of really good training about schema. So I would encourage you to go check that out if you want to learn more about that. I think the explanations on their blog are done really, really well for learning about schema. Okay. All right, guys. Next one is Kim. Says, hey, Bradley, does changing the primary category always trigger re-verification? No, not necessarily. If it's a significant category change to something that wasn't relevant or related to what it was previously, then yes, it typically can trigger re-verification. But I've done a bunch of changes where I changed the primary category to a very closely related category. For example, in the tree service industry, the two primary categories are tree service and arborist and tree surgeon. So arborist and tree surgeon is one category. Tree service is the other category. Generally, tree service is the primary category, and arborist and tree surgeon is an additional category. I've experimented a little bit with testing that, changing that out, swapping out the primary category, and I've not ever had it trigger re-verification for that because they're so closely related. They're almost interchangeable, those two categories. Hopefully that makes sense. I just also, it was crazy. I wish I could show it, but I don't want to show the client. I have a painting contractor client who's been on and off as a client of mine since like 2013. He was literally one of the very first clients that I ever landed when I opened my agency. And they're in Charlottesville, Virginia. And anyway, last year, he had suspended SEO services with me and then went with some niche specific agency that's supposed to deal with only painting contractors. This is funny. This is a funny story. That's why I'm telling you. So he went with some niche like boutique agency that supposedly only does marketing, digital marketing for painting contractors. And he spent a pile of money, had a new website designed, even though he had just had a new website designed within the previous year. No shit. He ended up allowing this niche agency to talk him into buying a brand new website design, and that they knew how to get results for painting contractors, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, long story short, a year later, he contacts me and says, I don't know what the hell I did, but I hired this other company and now everything's screwed up. We used to, for years, we were at the top of maps and we got lots of leads. And now for the last year, our leads have been steadily declining. And now we're not even showing in the maps 3-pack at all anymore for any of the keywords. Bradley, can you help? So I got on a conference call with him and his webmaster and then somebody that does video and like social media marketing for him. And when we got on the call, I had run a local search grid report, a bright local suite of reports, so that I could have the data analyze and review when we were on our conference call or the Zoom meeting. And so the first thing I noticed was that the primary category by this other company was changed to painting, not painter. The primary category for painting contractors is painter. And they had changed it to painting. Painting, from what I understand, as a Google business category, is like local business, like category for like a painting, like an art display for a historical painting. From what I understand, that's what it is. And I could be wrong. But in any case, I knew that the painter category was the most appropriate one. Why? Because if you looked at every other painting contractor that was ranked for those types of search queries, it's painter, not painting. And so that was on a Friday. This was about 3 weeks ago. And it was on a Friday that I had this call with them. And while I was on the call with them, because I was still a manager of their Google business profile, they had never removed me. So I said, well, listen, if it's all right with you, I'm going to change the category while we're on this call to painter. And he said, sure, go ahead. Well, on Monday, I reran the reports, the Bright Local reports, and they were all, boom, right back into the #1 position where they always had been. So it was that. And by the way, it didn't trigger reverification. That's why I started to tell you that, because we changed the primary category from painting to painter. And boom, 3 days later, and that's all it took. It might have within hours or minutes even jumped back into the maps 3-pack. I don't know. It was 3 days later before I reran the report. But it just goes to show that Google business categories is critically important, guys, to have the appropriate category selected and add any additional category that may be relevant. But just to get back to what you were asking about, does it always trigger reverification? I don't. From what I understand and from my own experience, I have not seen it as long as it is a relevant category change. If it is a non-relevant or something completely different category change, then yes, it can trigger it. And that is not to say that changing it to another relevant category does not or will not trigger it. I'm just saying I've not experienced it. Okay. My primary category is moving and storage, and I want to change it to movers. Your thoughts? That should be okay. That should be fine. And in fact, that's actually a really good, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I was actually talking with doing an audit for somebody else. Yeah, for one of my link building clients earlier this week, I did an audit, and that's something that you should be testing with is movers, because movers is a category, or mover. And then the other one is moving and storage service. And I know, because I just did an audit for a moving company earlier this week. That's why I'm saying this. And I was saying, I don't know what is the better category. Most movers are going to have movers as their category, or mover as their primary category, but it might be worth testing moving and storage service as the primary category. And maybe that's what you did, and you want to try to test with mover. And that's a good sound strategy, in my opinion, guys, is to test these things, right? If you have two very similar categories and you have the ability to, on one location, change it to, like in this case, moving and storage service, and on the other location, have it as mover, and then track the results and see you can always change the category out and then see, does it rank or perform better by having this as the primary category or this, right? And that's, again, guys, why I keep saying to everybody to go into a single industry, because these are all the kind of tests that you have to do. And there's so many things that you can test. And it's hard to do that across so many different, multiple industries. I'm still learning how to best optimize for the tree service industry, and I've been doing that for 10 years. And in the last year, I've really learned a lot, just because I've done a ton of testing. But again, that's why I don't recommend doing that across a bunch of industries. Pick one and go deep. So I don't think that should cause a problem. Again, do not hold me to it. Don't anybody quote me and say, well, you said it would. No, I didn't. I said I've not experienced that when it's a very similar category that's being changed. I'm not saying it can't cause a re-verification. I've just not seen that. Okay. Let's see, David again. I always happen to see your comments, David. There are some free tool builders out there and they still work. Yeah, as far as the you talking about generating schema, yeah, I was just answering his question about, if he wants to learn more about what else can be included in schema. I still recommend to all my audit clients whenever we're doing an audit, and I don't know how to get rid of this stupid the Merkle SEO tool, the SEO tool for schema generator from Merkle, Merkle.com, I think it is, or whatever. Anyways, that's the one that I always recommend to my link building clients or anybody that I deliver an audit to, because that's really good. It's a free local schema generator, or it's a schema generator that you can use for local business schema, corporation schema, or organization schema, etc. And it's quite good. So I always recommend that to people. All right, Matt says it's still helpful to geotag images for either the website or the GBP. That's a good question. I've not done any testing with that recently. We not specifically, as little as a year ago, I was still recommending that for sure. It's still in the SOP, because especially in our mastermind, because if you got a VA doing the work, it's just a couple of minutes to add geotags. So why not have it done? There are, again, Google's gotten better, guys, at understanding what's spoofed and what is valid. And it makes sense that they've gotten better at that. So just adding like regular, like latitude and longitude data and stuff like that, I don't know that that's helpful anymore. If you have, very thorough EXIF data and some of the other stuff that is added from, like, for example, if you take a photo on a phone, that goes up to Google Photos, and apparently it's similar with Apple too. I don't have an Apple device, so I don't know it, but somebody else I was talking to earlier this month said that, the amount of data that you can see from an image, when you look at the info or the details of the image when taken on an Apple device or from an Android phone, the amount of location information is absolutely insane. And so, like, it's crazy, because I've actually tested with this, where I've taken a video from my Android phone while I was driving. Like, well, I was a passenger in a car, and I took a video with my phone, and then I looked at the details, the metadata details, and it even said where I was when I started recording the video and the velocity that I was traveling while the video was recording. It's no kidding. It was I couldn't believe how much metadata is included in those files. And that's all stuff that's hard to do if you're just spoofing metadata. I'm not saying there aren't programs that you can spoof all that data. The ones that I've always used was Mass Optimizer Pro for just adding like EXIF data to images and stuff. There's other ones that will do it. But I'm saying there's so much rich data that gets added as metadata to those images and stuff. I don't know that just spoofing kind of basic EXIF data still is helpful. My thought process always before was that that Google strips that stuff out anyway when you upload those photos, but it reads that data upon upload. So it's just another kind of signal. But again, I don't know, considering how much everything has evolved in the last year as far as the algorithm and how much smarter it is now. I don't know that just adding like basic kind of metadata is beneficial anymore. If you can take photos and things that are done from a mobile device, that's, I think, important. And then I think also if you upload photos to something like Google Photos, then you can add a lot more rich data to the photos that way, and then somehow use those photos, then I think that could be more beneficial too. But to be honest, I've not done a lot of testing with just geotagging stuff in quite some time. So again, if you got somebody doing it for you, in my opinion, just have them keep doing it, because it's just a nominal amount of time. But if you're trying to be more efficient, then, what I'm doing, just so you guys know, for my own projects, like the stuff that I literally personally build myself, which I still do quite a bit of, I just do QR codes now. I don't add EXIF data and all that stuff anymore. I create a QR code that links to either the Google Business map, so the map URL, or the Google Business website, or the money site. So, or I'll create 3 QR codes, and then I'll geotag overlay the QR code on the various images along with the logo, because Googlebot can read the QR code and understand the destination that it's pointing to. That maybe not is helpful for, by the way, guys, the person I was talking to when they mentioned the Apple stuff is because she's the marketing manager for a company that is not only a link building client, but she also joined our mastermind. And she was telling me that, that they do roofing or whatever. And I was telling her, like, one of the best things that you guys can do or instruct your local business clients to do, good luck getting them to do it, but is if you have service area businesses, is have their technicians or workers or whatever, when they're in the field, just snap a couple of photos on their phone. They don't have to have Google Business Manager access. All they need to do is when they go out on a job site on location, take a couple of photos or a short video, and then upload it directly to the Google Maps profile as a user, just as a regular Google user. You just go to the Maps profile, click add photos, and then upload photos. And if you do that, if like for tree service contractors, pest control companies, etc., if they just train their technicians, their field personnel, to whenever they go onto a job site, snap 2 or 3 images and always upload those to the profile, that is training the Google algorithm to identify, to understand where the business conducts business. For service area businesses, that is absolutely huge. It's not that if you uploaded photos today, tomorrow you're going to rank in that area. But over time, with consistency, you can train Google to understand where the business provides products and services, and you can get a significant ranking boost from that. And that is a long-term strategy that works incredibly well. But good luck trying to get your clients to do it. I have tried, it's like pulling teeth. I've tried to get contractors. I've got a pest control client of mine that has been a client of mine since 2013. So going on 11 years now. And every single year we have the same pre-season, because they do outdoor bug control like mosquitoes and ticks and things like that. And so every year we have a pre-season call where we start to discuss what the marketing plan is going to be for the season. And this is always about a month or two before spring. And every single year we have the same conversation. You think you can get your guys to take some photos while they're on site this year? Yeah. We're really going to do it this year. We're really going to put an effort this year. And then nothing. Radio silence, crickets. And it's every freaking year. I'm so tired of talking about it, but it works, and it works really well. So anyway, I would encourage you to try that with your clients too. But good luck getting them to do it. The ones that do will be rewarded, but it's just so hard to get. Like, what was Tom Cruise and Jerry Maguire? Help me help you. Like, help me help you. I've even told my clients, like, look, just take the photos on, if they don't even want to go through the problem of the hassle of uploading it to the profile, which they don't even need manager access for. Fine. Just tell them to take photos and add them to a shared Google Photos album. I will upload the photos from the Google Photos album that will retain all of that metadata. That's fine. I still can't get them to do that. So good luck, but it does work for sure. Johnny says, are you going to be offering a Black Friday deal for any of your services? No, I'm a white label provider. So no, white label, my margins are slim enough that no, I sell wholesale, so you can sell retail. And we also don't discount our training either. So we're going to give stuff away though for free between Black Friday and Cyber Monday, Johnny. So be on our mailing list and you can get some freebies. Okay, guys, that's it for questions. So if there's any comments that need addressed, I'll jump in on that. Otherwise, we can wrap it up.
Scrolling through there, I don't think I saw anything. Except we've now cleared up that Bradley is not on a train. So
yeah, it does look like that. I can definitely see that. David says, I don't want to say XF data isn't necessary, but sorry, let me put this over. But personally speaking, I haven't done it for a few years, and I really focus on image namification. Yep. So Google is more likely to rank my photos and images. Exactly. Precisely, David. That's what I've been doing, is what I'm saying is it's important to name the files. Also, if you have the ability to add alt text, like when you're publishing a photo on the site and things like that, I always try to work the keyword variants of the keywords that people would be searching for the products and services that business provides. And then always make sure that you append the brand name too, to the alt text or the image files or whatever, so that not only can it rank in image search or in the image carousel. In some cases, even for local search queries, I've seen image carousels pop on page 1. And so if you optimize the images properly, file names, alt tags, etc., then you can rank those photos in that image carousel when it pops a carousel. And so, and then having the logo overlaid is important because then that is branding so that the Google user sees the brand, whether they click through it or not. It's a branding thing. So it helps with conversions at a later time. And then also the QR code, because the Google bot can read the QR code and know the destination. So it's just creating associations between those images and the entity assets. So I totally agree with you, David. That's part of the reason I've gotten away from doing the EXIF data manipulation as well, is because I focus more on just the naming of the files, alt text when that's available, and then also the overlay, the logo and QR code overlay. And that seems to be equally as effective. It doesn't train the service area like what I was talking about with taking photos on site of, you know, jobs and things like that. It doesn't help with that, but it does help with searching and getting images to pop in the search results. So I totally agree with you, David. All right, moving on. I was told, not tested, you can use Google Photos for this extra data and it wouldn't hurt. Yeah, and that's what I remember when Brock's course came out, the first version of it, which probably was 2 years ago now. That's when I did quite a lot of testing with that with Google Photos. And at the time, and I don't know that it's changed, it's probably still the same, but at the time you could add a ton of data through Google Photos, and then you could actually pull the Google Photos into like Google Business and stuff like that. And that was, and again, that's probably been 2 years since I've done any of that. So I don't know if that's changed. Cecilia says Local Viking gives GeoBooster plugin for free now. I've been sending that out to clients like Candy, encouraging them to do the posting by themselves or staff. Okay, cool. I'm not a Local Viking user, but have they been using it, Cecilia? I'm curious. David says, honestly, I really don't know if the signals are there enough to make an impact. I think Google wants data. Photos work well for those data points. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I don't know that the EXIF data signals matter that much when you're spoofing them, but real EXIF data signals from real photos taken from a mobile device, again, guys, I know for a fact that has an influence on maps exposure when you do it over time, because I have one tree contractor client who did it religiously, and he suspended his SEO services with me when the winter came, like a lot of them do. Almost 3 years ago now. It was about, yeah, it was at least 2 years ago, like this month in November, that he suspended services. It might have been 3 years ago, but it was, I know it for sure it was 2 years ago, but it might have been 3 years ago. And that son of a bitch is still ranking today, because that's all, like, I taught him how to do that with images, and he's very, very good about taking photos and even some videos every so often and uploading them directly to his Google Maps profile while he's on site. And he suspended services with me 2 or 3 years ago. And I swear to God, he's still ranking today. And that's all that he does, is just the photos, and he gets reviews, and that's it. And he's in a competitive area too. So it just goes to show you, maybe you shouldn't train your clients to do that. You know what I mean? Maybe let's just keep that between us. Because obviously if it works that well, you can work yourself out of a job, right? So anyway. All right, guys, I think we're done. And Adam, I'm sorry you came on for a minute and then I started talking again. So
no worries.
We're all done today, guys. Appreciate everybody. Thanks everybody for being here. We'll see you guys. We have the Build with Bradley group tomorrow, discussion group from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern. So if you guys, anybody in the mastermind, please attend that. Those are always fun. It's a discussion group. So we'll see you guys tomorrow.